You are now listening to the A2J2 podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the A2J2 podcast, a podcast that has a new member for today. As always, I am joined by Jordan Ison in person today, Austin Curtis, and Andrew Hill. But for the first time in A2J2 history, we have our first special guest host, and who better than our editor, Jared Holloway. Say hello to the people.
Hashtag the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm incredibly nervous and know nothing about sports.
Listen, I told Jared in preparation for this podcast to literally prepare nothing.
And I did. Honestly, I prepared absolutely nothing.
It's perfect. And honestly, this is probably the perfect podcast to do it for because as everybody knows, probably at the point where you're listening to this, Selection Sunday has already happened. We're currently sitting at 6:40 p.m. the day before Selection Sunday. So today we're going to do a little kind of blind pick. We're doing NCAA predictions for our one seeds, a potential Cinderella, and then a potential Final Four, just having no idea what the seeding could possibly be until tomorrow. So it's just a blind shot in the dark. But then what everybody, I think, is going to be interested in, we're going to talk what we like to call A2J2's mascotology. We are taking a look. We have had a bracket made by our very own Austin Curtis. And he is going to lead us in this little debate where we're saying which mascot would beat the other mascot in a head-on battle. So I'm looking forward to that when we get to that. It's going to be complete nonsense. None of us had filled out a bracket as far as I know, and we're just going to see what happens there.
It's just going to be pure debate is what we're going on that.
Yeah.
It's just all opinions, so we're just having fun. And it's not which mascot we think is better. Because that's what I got confused on with you. It's not which mascot's better. It's if you put them in a ring, which one will win in a fight.
I've got strong opinions when it comes to the mascots, so just be prepared for an argument.
That's why we brought you in.
Listen,
that's why we brought you in.
It's just a match made in heaven.
I've got strong opinions on mascots.
All right, we love it. We love it.
Yeah. So, any of you other two got an opinion about this?
While making the bracket, I was surprised in the top 64 teams, including like the top four in, top four out, how many Bulldogs there are.
Yeah.
Why is there so many Bulldogs?
A lot of Tigers too.
Multiple Tigers, multiple
Bulldogs,
Wildcats.
Eagles. There's probably 16 to 18 of them of the 64 of those three.
It'll be interesting to see where we go with that when we get to it, but let's not spoil that just yet. Andrew, how you feeling about this week's episode? It's very different than normal.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I'm excited for it, though. I think it'll be interesting to see what you guys pick. But definitely different, but exciting for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we really haven't covered any college basketball at all, so this is going to be a completely different kind of episode. So,
Yep.
Going to get our opinions on those sort of things. So it'll be fun.
Yep. Absolutely. So there's no time like the present. Who are your one seeds? You look at bracketology right now, and it's easy to go chalk. And looking at it, I have Houston, Alabama, UCLA, and Kansas, but I have undeserving next to Kansas because they lost last week by a good amount, and they're just not super impressive for me, but I feel like the resume and the fact that they're coming off of winning the national championship last year really benefits them, and they get moved into the one seed.
I think it's also a name thing. It's Kansas, right? Like if Kentucky, or the thing about the four teams you just mentioned, Houston has 2 losses. Bama and UCLA both have, I think, 5 losses, and Kansas has 6. And so when you look at the resumes of those, the 6 losses in the Big 12, it doesn't look as good as maybe 5 losses in the SEC or 5 losses in the Pac-12. So, but it's a name thing. It's Kansas, right? Like if Kentucky had 6 losses, they'd easily be a 1 seed because it's a name thing. Same with North Carolina, Duke, whatever. But I have the same 1 seeds. I've got Bama. I've got Houston as the number 1 overall seed. They have 2 losses. I don't think there's a question about it. Kansas, UCLA. That's my 1 seeds.
I'm mix it up a bit. I'm going Alabama, Houston, Kansas, Purdue. Throw them in the mix.
I think if
Purdue looks solid.
UCLA doesn't win the Pac-12, I think Purdue's got it, especially if they win the Big Ten. I mean, I just think that the resumes don't match up. The Big Ten's better than the Pac-12 in general, so yeah.
And Purdue suffered a loss last week, and if it hadn't have been for that, I'd probably have them edging out Kansas. But
And you'll notice that in my bracket I made, the Big Ten is the most represented. Actually, the 9 teams, but that's just off chalk, so not really that big of a deal. But
right, Andrew.
Yes, I've got the same top four as you. Kansas, Houston, Alabama, and UCLA. I think Houston's definitely, in my book, leading it right now. But I've got the same group.
Mm-hmm.
And the big argument against Houston is the fact that they play in the American.
They lost 2 games.
But they lost.
They lost 2 games.
And no, I've seen
2
some
games.
that have Kansas as the number 1 overall seed, which doesn't make any sense.
They have
at
more
all.
losses than UCLA and Bama.
I agree.
I don't think, and their strength of schedule isn't strong, so I don't think that's right. But yeah, I think Houston's kind of the easy number 1 overall pick. They could easily choke in the NCAA tournament, but when you talk about the number 1 overall pick, it's Houston.
Yeah, I agree.
Me personally, for the number 1 overall pick, I'm going with the Colgate Raiders. I think you guys are going to be surprised by them. If not them, I agree. And I mean, if we're talking top 4, I'm going, them first, Kennesaw State second. Honestly, maybe the San Diego Aztecs, they might, show up and show out. And then probably, realistically, the Charleston Cougars. I mean, I think, they played good all year round, and I think you guys are sleeping on them. Everybody picks the teams that, I've heard of Kansas. I know Kansas. Kansas played good this year. Forget that. It's nothing. Compared to Colgate, nothing.
Yeah. I mean, they have their own toothpaste.
Yeah.
Like, have you heard of Kansas toothpaste? No.
Exactly. I could walk into my bathroom right now and find Colgate. I can't walk into my bathroom right now and find Kansas. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's absolute facts.
That's a very strong argument. Very strong. So if those are your 1 seeds, I want you to start and tell us who your potential Cinderella is.
Oh, the potential Cinderella is going to be Tennessee,
Kansas.
man. They're going to be Tennessee. The Vols, I watched them beat Bama, I think. Maybe that was basketball, but I think they might end up going all the way. It's hard not to root for them as a kid that grew up, watching Tennessee sports and them always being bad at literally everything they ever touched, except for the past 2 years they've been decent at baseball. But I think Cinderella's story this year, they may take it all, but I think it'll probably be them and Colgate right there in the end in the finals. If you ask me,
I actually completely disagree with you because I love watching Tennessee just be bad. Like I grew up in Tennessee and I enjoyed every single minute of Tennessee losing and all their heartbreak and everything. So if they run into Michigan in the NCAA tournament, they're never going to beat Michigan in any tournament ever because they just don't do it. My Cinderella's actually Kentucky. Main reason being is Kentucky had a pretty bad year, but they're getting hot now. So kind of going that route. Although, I'm not going to completely disagree with you because if Tennessee gets hot, they're tough to beat. Because, we saw it at the start of the season. They were really hot, but they finished the season bad. It's just, if they can get hot in the postseason, that's what it's all about is hitting shots. I just think Kentucky right now is hot, and I have them as my Cinderella.
So when I think Cinderella, I think of a small team. Like if you look at last year's bracket, you see St. Peter's as they were the 15th seed. They beat Kentucky. They make a run. They finally lose to North Carolina. So my potential Cinderella is the UNC Asheville Bulldogs. They're a tough team.
Does that have anything to do with the fact that you're in Asheville?
No, I actually filled this out. If you look right here, my last edit was multiple days ago. So I have UNC Asheville. They had single-digit losses this year. They have a former Tennessee Volunteer in Drew Pember, who is from the area, from Northeast Tennessee, who has been an absolute revelation for them. And I just feel like they're a team that can get hot. They're a team that could easily lose first round. They're projected to be a 15 right now. But I think they're also a team that if they find a swagger about themselves at the right time, they can start hitting big shots and potentially surprise a couple of people. So that's what I put.
Now, after I watched 2 homer picks with the Kentucky and the Tennessee pick, I would love to have picked Wisconsin as a Cinderella, but this is the first year in 20 years that we are actual trash. Just absolute garbage. So I'm going to be riding with the VCU Rams as my Cinderella. They're just a high-scoring team. They've had multiple 80-point games in the last 2 weeks. They've had, I think, a high scorer of 18, 3 players scoring 18 each game. That's all I really know about them. They're projected to be a 12, which is then why I'm riding them. Because a 12 beats a 5 52 times since the tournament has started. And that's it's going to happen. A 12
Yeah.
beats a 5. It just has to
Well,
happen.
also, the thing about VCU is they've made plenty of runs in NCAA tournaments, so they kind of have the history of doing that. So they're always kind of the Cinderella, but they're tough. They're a tough out.
Yeah, they have more of a resume than most smaller teams. Like if you have a comparable sized college, then yeah. So I can see it.
Yeah.
You never know. I think Mo Ollie Cox being a former VCU Ram might affect your pick there, but
Gigantor.
I've got Providence. No real reason why, just kind of a shot in the dark. But they're my lottery pick. They're the Cinderella story this year, so
I mean,
that's
they
what I've got.
runs too, though. Like
Yeah.
Providence, I remember back maybe like 10 years ago, Providence was like a top 4 seed. I mean, they were
Yeah.
good year in and year out, so it's not a bad pick either.
they've been good, and they've had players like Chris Dunn come through that program
Yeah.
and be special at that. You know, so I mean, you never know. They're always there. It seems like when you come to March, so you never know. So 5 different ways of going
Colgate.
about this. I love the Colgate pick. So thinking that that's your 1 seed, so I have Final Four. My Final Four is Arizona, Purdue. So I do have them making a run to the Final Four. I think Kentucky. I know they lost to Vanderbilt last night, but I think they're getting hot at the right time. And this team just really reminds me of that team that had
The Harrison twins.
Yes, the Harrison twins, and the dude that played for the Celtics that you liked so much. He threw an absolute hammer down on a UConn player in the finals. Don't remember his name. His first name was James, maybe.
Yeah, James Young.
James Young. Yes.
Young.
Okay, I knew we'd get there. So that team, when they were like what, like a 7 seed, and it was
They were a 9 seed.
and so them and UConn were both lower seed. That team reminds me of this team, so I could see Kentucky making a run. So I got Arizona, Purdue, Kentucky, and then I have Houston. And I think that Houston is my favorite to win it all. I think they'll end up playing Purdue in the final, and they will prevail.
I think Houston's a good pick, but it's kind of chalk. I mean, I just think
It
that
is.
when you have the number 1 overall seed, it kind of feels like Gonzaga, Villanova every year. It's just like they don't really play a strong schedule, but they're always the number 1 seed because they have this great record, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, my Final Four, I've got Bama. I mean, I just can't have – I've got to have Bama in it. I've got Gonzaga because they have that 28-year-old Drew Timme on their team. It just feels like they're always there one way or another. I've got Kansas versus Arizona, so that's my Final Four is Bama, Gonzaga, Kansas, and Arizona. The final, I've got Bama versus Kansas, and I mean I've got Kansas winning it again. I mean, just the fact of the matter is they know how to win in tournaments. It's all about pedigree, and Kansas just gets it done. So I mean, you could say what you could be mad because they beat North Carolina last year.
North Carolina's not even going to be
But
in it this year.
They know how to get it done. I don't like as a Kentucky fan, I don't like picking Kansas. I just feel like in a wide open year, you just go back to a team with the best coaching, the best pedigree. To me, that's Kansas.
Now I have 2 of your teams from both of you, but I have Kansas, Baylor, Marquette, UCLA. And the Marquette pick is my homer pick because I'm not allowed to put Wisconsin for the Final Four. I have to put one of them in there. So Marquette, you got to ride. And I've watched that team play all year. They've been pretty great. They like the 3-ball. Love that. And I have Kansas, Marquette, Kansas winning it all. So this is week 2 of Jordan and I getting along. And
I really
don't know what.
don't enjoy this. I
Heck
just
is
wish
this?
we could start arguing some more, but like this.
Hey,
is...
we're still
Later.
early on this episode. We'll see.
Later.
I thought about adding in Arizona to mine, as well as who was it that you had? Bama, right, Jordan? You
Yeah.
had Bama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about adding both of them to mine, but I've got Houston, Tennessee, UCLA, and Texas. I feel like it's going to be Houston and UCLA in the final, and Houston's going to take it all.
So we have 2 Houstons and 2 Kansas and then a Colgate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think I need to give a Final Four. Realistically, it's going to be – I'd probably put, like, Colgate, Furman, I'll put Kansas in there, and I'll maybe put Tennessee in there as well. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, we know who's the strong team here. 15 seed, 16 seed or not, doesn't really matter. They're going to come in there with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be upset. They're going to be looking for that respect that they deserve. And I think that it's going to blow everybody's mind. You're going to watch the March Madness, and you're going to come back to this podcast and be like, that guy, he's an analyst, knows what he's talking about,
He's the only one that picked Colgate, literally in the entire world.
Listen, they're the only team projected to make the tournament that has tartar control. So I mean,
yeah.
So,
it's an excellent
Facts.
it's a decent pick. It really is.
So, interesting picks all around. So here we're going to take a quick break early on in this episode. Make sure that we're focused and ready for the main event, which of course is mascotology. So we will see you all on the other side of this break. So welcome back to our mascotology segment here. Everybody should be able to see our bracket, our official A2J2 bracket on your screen. We're just going to go ahead and start in the top left. Our first matchup, we have the Kansas Jayhawks versus the Grambling State Tigers. And just me personally, I've never seen a Jayhawk before. It sounds pretty stupid. So I think a tiger is probably going to eat it, and that's just me.
Go ahead,
No
Jordan.
doubt. It's a tiger. And it's a
Also, I'm also saying I'm pretty sure a Jayhawk is just a normal hawk.
But
Yeah.
It's just a
okay,
hawk.
but see,
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing is how's the tiger gonna catch it? If the hawk just decides to fly away, then how is the tiger gonna get it? It's just gonna wait him out.
No, look, you put him in a ring. That's what you put him
Yeah,
in a
they're
ring.
in a ring.
Oh,
They're
we're in a
ring.
like a steel
it's a-
cage match type thing.
One-on-one grudge fest.
Yes.
Oh well, yeah, tiger's got that easy, no problem.
Yeah.
Tiger all day.
Yeah, all
Guys,
day.
move the
Yes, sir.
Tigers on. We've got the Grambling State Tigers prevailing in a huge upset in the 16-1. Next, we have the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Auburn Tigers. So, again, we have a similar situation. So, I think we can probably go another set of Tigers there against another bird, yes?
Yeah,
as
I'd
long as
probably
it's
put the
not Marvel's
tiger up.
Hawkeye.
I
If
got
it's Marvel's
Tigers, yeah.
Hawkeye, we might be having a different conversation, but
Yeah, no,
I'm
we're just
going,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, just
I
the
don't get
animal.
that
Yeah, we're throwing in
reference.
Marvel's Hawkeye.
Yeah, we're going
Before we
Marvel.
doing that?
Maybe maybe Hawkeye, but no.
I don't think it's, no.
It's the Tigers.
Yeah. On the other side. So, okay, big debate here, and I will die on this hill. The Duke Blue Devils against the Charleston Cougars. Listen, if those Cougars are capable of praying, the Devil's going to disappear. He's not going to let the Devil in.
I don't think that they're sentient beings though, you know what I'm saying? So I think the devil's going to send them to the third layer of hell and it's just done.
I agree with you. I think it's Satan.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
Satan,
I think
right?
you
And
gotta
so,
go Blue Devils here.
I mean, it's a cougar, and don't get me wrong, cougars, are bad and everything, but it's literally Satan.
I agree.
Give me Duke.
I think maybe if they were going up against like a Catholic team or something, then maybe you could make that argument.
No, we might get there.
We might get there.
That's what I'm saying. You could maybe make that argument then, but not a Charleston.
One question here. Are they the Cat Cougars or are they the Zach Wilson Cougars? Because that really throws me off. I watched the New Housewives of Jersey Shore.
No.
We're an anti-Zach Wilson.
Yeah, let's not open ourselves up to that. Go ahead and move the stupid Devils on. They'll get theirs in the next round. So that brings us to the Xavier Musketeers, and as Austin put it, the Louisiana Cayenne Peppers. They're the Raging Cajuns. But if you've ever watched The Water Boy, and you see like Farmer Fran in that movie where he can't even speak English, that's what you're talking about against a musketeer who is like trained in military techniques. They're gonna handle
It's the
business.
Musketeers, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's got a gun.
Exactly.
And even if it's up against like a pepper, I mean, just eat the pepper, and it's gonna be a little spicy for a little while.
It's not even close. It's
No.
not even close.
That's a blowout right there.
Yeah.
So next, we've got the Arizona Wildcats and the Colgate Raiders. Jared, state your argument.
Here's the problem, right? So Wildcats, I mean, they're pretty gnarly, right? There's gonna be a lot of them. They're gonna be fast. They're gonna be quick. But we're talking about Colgate here, okay? We're talking about Raiders with the cleanest teeth you've ever seen. I'm talking no enamel on them. I'm talking no plaque. I'm talking the best teeth you've ever seen here. So me personally, I think the Raiders' sheer amount of power would they would take over the Wildcats pretty easily. Because you can just send Raider after Raider after Raider after Raider after a Wildcat, and eventually the Wildcats are going to get worn down. And just that's my humble opinion. I'm not trying to be biased or anything.
I mean, I sort of agree with you, but the way I looked at it was one-on-one. And I mean, look, Colgate, they make some great toothpaste, and those Raiders teams are going to be really clean. But like, if you go one-on-one, a Wildcat versus a Raider, it's a Wildcat all day, faster, stronger, more aggressive. I'm going Wildcats. But if you're going clan v clan, give me the Raiders. I agree with you.
Well, they got the S at the end of it, because like the Musketeers, and then you got a Wildcat.
The way we talked about it, though, was a grudge match. It was one-on-one in a cage.
I see.
So that's the reason I'm going Wildcats. I understand your point, but I'm going Wildcats for that reason.
It's an armored Raider. I'm imagining him with a battle axe in one hand and a shield in the other against a cat. It doesn't specify what type of cat. It's just a wild cat.
It's a wild one.
What kind of cat is it? I need to know specifics because right now it's a dumpster cat.
It's a dumpster cat.
I'm all for the Raiders moving on too.
I'm on Raiders all day long.
Also, the Raiders won. I understand the argument, but
yeah, I definitely understand the argument.
I think eventually the shine of these Colgate Raiders, as far as Jared's going to try to convince us into, yeah. I think eventually we're going to be like, okay, no, but this isn't around where we do it.
I agree.
So we have another Wildcat here versus a bunch of horses, the Boise State Broncos.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're gonna go that route, I'm going Broncos because like if you're talking about any sort of cat, you just said, Austin, it's any cat. You don't know it doesn't specify. But when you talk about a big horse versus a cat, you don't know if it's a medium-sized cat, a large cat, a small cat, whatever. You're just talking about in general. I'm going with a horse. I'm going with Broncos.
But what if it's a mini horse? Like in Rob Deerdeck when they had the mini horse on there?
I mean, it's a Bronco, though. It
says Broncos.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. I'll move on to Broncos. That's fair.
I got the Broncos as well.
Move on. Okay, so next we have the Tennessee Volunteers and the Utah Thunderbirds. Again, the Volunteers, when you think about that, the man that are one-on-one, we've got Davy Crockett. And I'm sorry, he's shooting a Thunderbird out of the sky.
Agreed. How is a Thunderbird even
100%.
compared to that? I completely agree.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't put it in the perspective of Davy Crockett, if you just go off of like a volunteer, like somebody that's like just like ladling like soup out at a homeless kitchen, I mean, he's probably going to get destroyed by a Thunderbird. But if we're going Davy Crockett, then you got to go Davy Crockett.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. He's moving on. So move the Volunteers on.
A fourth Thunderbird just like driving.
A fourth Thunderbird comes crashing into the ring, hitting a soup ladling lady, trying to help the homeless.
That's not the way we're.
Completely different fight.
That's on WWE. That's not in this.
So next we have the San Diego State Aztecs and the Arizona State Sun Devils. So like, I guess this is a big debate here. Like the Aztecs, do they even give a crap about these Sun Devils?
About the Sun Devil in general. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it though, Aztecs back in the day, if I'm not mistaken, they were very religious people. They were into very different things. They were into sun gods, sun devils maybe even. So I think that they probably have a remedy to get rid of a sun devil pretty easily. Like they can hit some sage in the air and boom.
Yeah.
Listen, they bow down and worship it.
That could be true too.
But listen, they have a sun god, so I feel like this is the immediate, opposite of that.
This is like a straight rivalry.
So they're just gonna pray to the sun god, and that sun devil's gonna go straight away.
1,000%.
Rivalry. Give me the Aztecs. Get rid of the sun. Yeah, the Sun Devils don't stand a chance against Sun God.
Yeah. No. Moving on.
I like that. That's a good pick.
That was deep. I like it.
That got some historical context, and I was here for it. So we'll go ahead and move down to Purdue, and who are the Boilermakers, and the LA Dickinson Knights.
It's not a train. It's the guy who shovels coal on the train, man. It's not a train.
It's not a train.
Guy that shovels coal that a Knight's all day.
Yeah, Knights all day, dude.
Knight without a question.
A guy who shovels coal all day, or a literal medieval knight, bro. Get out of here.
A knight with armor.
Come on.
Move the Knight on. Knight's already got 3 votes. So next we have the Florida. Somehow we keep getting these big cats and these birds.
Just move the Tigers.
Move the
Tigers.
Tigers.
Get the crap out of an owl. Come on.
The
Yeah,
final
yeah.
four is just gonna be all tigers.
Eventually we'll find our.
Yeah.
So next we have the Kansas State Wildcats and the Toledo Rockets. And I just want to know how a Wildcat's going to defend against
It's not.
Beat a
It's not. Rockets.
Is Wildcat ever gonna kill a Rocket?
It's gonna get orbital struck straight out of the ring. It's done.
Yeah, that
Rocket.
Orbital struck.
Rocket all day long.
For sure.
It didn't even need a debate on that one. That's just
No, that's
So next we have Texas A&M Aggies against the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles.
Okay, what is an Aggie?
It's like somebody who lives on a farm.
and then like their actual mascot is like a collie. Like
Yeah, it's Reveille, which would be collie, but
okay. Well, it really depends. If someone living on a farm, I might take them over an eagle because you just get a rifle out and.
Yeah, but don't you think if it's an American loving man who lives on a farm, don't you think he'll have like a moral quandary over wanting to shoot the eagle?
Also, to reverse that question, is the eagle really going to kill this countryman?
Aren't eagles
It's really
like
gonna be just,
yes.
It's really just going to be like two people just
they're
like
violent.
aren't eagles kind of violent? Like they're kind of they're like kind of territorial.
I think the Aggie has too much respect
I agree.
for the eagle, and the eagle tears its eyes from its face with its golden talons.
Also, it's going through. I'm punching it through.
Yeah, I agree.
On go the Golden
Yeah.
Eagles. So now we have bears and bobcats, and if you got a bear versus a bobcat, I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
That's not. It's not even a fight. It's just a
Dude,
size
Bears
problem.
taking
It's
it.
a
so easy.
Yeah.
And bears are
it's not-
fast too. I mean,
Bears
you know,
are very fast.
you-
Bobcats might be a little bit faster, but bears are very fast.
you could make the speed comment all day, but the bear still has, you know, the size.
Almost as fast, if not faster.
Bears are smart too, you know,
Yeah.
a lot smarter
Actually,
than any
don't-
wildcat.
You don't have to make your point. The bears are moving on. They're like,
No one's
The
arguing Bobcats.
and I don't think
I want to watch this next one. It's a Spartan versus a friar, like a pope, like a
no, I
bishop.
think
that
that's
got
going to be
just
very
got a
one-sided.
sword coming in there.
Yeah, the Spartan
The
is just
Spartan is too easy.
Spartan's gonna have their shield and their
Yeah.
their spear, and they're just gonna stab this man of God because they're not
They don't care.
they're not
Yeah, I don't-
monotheistic.
I don't think they care about that religion.
They don't. So you move them on, which will bring us to the Yukon Huskies and the Vermont Cougars. So I guess at this point in time, you've got, you know, a big dog versus a big cat.
Yeah.
Are we
you
talking
have
a
to-
wild husky though?
I was about
That's
to
what I'm
say.
saying. Like a wild husky, I'm taking a wild husky probably any day.
Mm.
Like, is it
But if you're talking a
domesticated?
domesticated husky, a cougar, like that's it. But
Yeah.
I think when you talk about it in general, I'm just going by the pure animal, and I'm talking about the size, the strength, everything. I'm not going domestication or anything like that. I'm going a husky.
Yeah.
It's dogs versus cats. Dogs chase
Oh,
cats.
well,
Yeah.
I'm
Two
also
dogs.
very curious though, like what are the conditions of this one-on-one? Is it cold in the arena? You know, is the husky like in its prime? Like is it in the snow, like where it can kind of take a cougar on a little bit better
Hold
too?
on. You have to assume that with the husky being the higher seed here, they are fighting in a cold
They get
snowy.
their
That's
home
true.
court advantage.
They
You have
do
to
get,
remember.
yeah, that's true. Husky all day then.
We'll move the husky.
It's
up.
all the home court advantage. I was gonna make an argument for the cougar there, but no, you're right. I mean, if he's got the home court advantage, you're not
No, I-
touching
I-
it.
So this next one is between two teams that Austin just got their mascots wrong. You've got the St. Mary's Gales, not the Raiders, which is just somebody who speaks Gaelic. And you have the Utah State Aggies. Apparently, they have big blue bulls. Like I don't know if that's like, you know, the big blue bull with Paul Bunyan,
Yeah, I don't
babe. I don't know.
Quite a typo there.
It is. It is. But you know what? If you're talking a giant blue bull
And versus a Gaelic person.
versus somebody who just speaks Gaelic,
I'm taking the bull.
I'm going with what's on the back. Give me
I'm
Utah.
going with the Bulls.
Yeah, give me Utah State.
I'll just be speaking Gaelic to the bull. The bull wouldn't give it credit.
Why would he? You know. So that will get that side of the bracket done, and we will move to the top of the other side of the bracket, which has the Alabama Crimson Tide versus the Howard Bison.
Oh my gosh.
So I
guess
have a question here because I talked to James about this a few days ago because I kind of picked Alabama to go pretty far just if we're going off of elephants. Now if we're going off Crimson Tide, I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's just like the Red Sea or what. But I'm saying if it's a elephant versus a bison, elephant's got that all day. Like it's just gonna sit on it.
I agree, but I'm going Crimson Tide, so it's just a big wave of red water.
I don't
Boy.
think a bison can swim. I think it drowns.
Well, it really depends on whether you're going with the actual mascot, which is an elephant, or if you're going with the nickname, which is a Crimson Tide. We're doing mascotology, so I thought we were going by mascot, so I was taking Bama, just on the
I
elephant.
take Bama either way.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I think a wave.
Move Bama.
Just because we call it mascotology, I'm going with the actual mascot, which is an elephant.
I
That's
agree.
fine.
I think
That's
Jordan
fine.
makes a solid point there, an astute point
I like
even.
to imagine my Alabama Crimson Tide as an elephant riding a surfboard on a
That's
red.
exactly what it is. That's literally exactly what it is.
That's
On
fine.
a Red Sea.
Oh, that's fine.
I like to imagine
So-
it with a mullet as well, if we're just being honest here.
Exactly.
Maybe one of those tuxedo shirts. You can tell he doesn't take himself too serious, you know?
Playing Freebird on a small speaker as he rides his wave.
He's got a Firebird parked in the parking lot, you know?
All right, so we're moving on to the Maryland Terrapins, which is like a fierce turtle against a mountaineer from West Virginia, and I'm pretty sure that a mountaineer just
Yeah, the Mountaineer's just
Yeah.
going to kill that bird. I don't care what it is.
It's
Like,
gonna
that-
kill it
yeah,
and make
Mountaineer
soup
all
out of
day.
it, no
West
problem.
Virginia. You don't mess with West Virginia in
Mm-mm.
general, so yeah.
Yeah, you're getting curb stomped.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Which
kill
is
it and
gonna
make
set up a
soup.
very, very interesting second round match, which we're not going to talk about yet.
Yeah.
But we have West Virginia versus Alabama, which will be a discussion all
Yeah.
its own. So this is the Iona Killian. Something tells me that's probably not. They're also the Gales.
They are the Gales. So,
They're the
In
Gales.
that case, give me
Move on.
Virginia Cavaliers.
Yeah, move
Literally
on the
all day.
Cavs.
Yeah.
The Cavalier over someone that speaks Gaelic 24/7.
Yep.
So is this like a? When I'm looking that up, am I finding like a different mascot?
You're looking up mascots, not nicknames. So you're looking up mascots, which is literally what the person will dress up as on the side of the court.
Mhm.
And so what you see is literally their costume, right?
Yeah.
Whoever made this bracket needs to be fired from A squared J squared, honestly.
I might be after this.
It's okay. It's okay.
He's on thin ice, buddy.
It might be a singular J to the third power.
It might just be J squared. Let's be honest.
I need to start reading some more sports stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
This next matchup is sort of a fun one, right? Like Iowa State Cyclones versus the VCU Rams. I mean,
It's a
he's taking the Cyclones
Yeah.
literally all day.
Cyclone, 100%.
But it also kind of brings into the whole mix a whole different, like the Cyclones. How are you ever going to stop a Cyclone? How are you ever going to kill one? They might be the favorite going forward.
I agree.
Honestly, they might be the favorite.
That is
That's
them
Whether
versus the
many-
Crimson Tide. You never know, though.
That's
you know.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
But we decided we were going elephants with the Crimson Tide.
That's
Yeah.
well. You're here. We are.
On a
Yeah.
surfboard.
It comes full circle, man.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
You're right.
Next, we have another bird, and it's going to get stomped on a bunch of times by a long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, this is not a bird-friendly.
It's not a bird-friendly podcast.
No, especially since we're not out in the open.
And it's not
so
football season. Then you're more bird friendly than now.
That's yeah.
Very bird heavy.
Hey, real quick, I forgot about that. Let's go Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? My boy Patrick Mahomes. Let's
Oh
go
my
Chiefs.
God.
Let's go Chiefs. Let's go Chiefs.
It's okay because Jared's dad's a Chiefs fan. You can't just root for the team.
You're not wrong.
I watched until the halftime show happened, and then I left, so I didn't even watch the game.
You should have stayed. We might have won.
I got bored.
But anyway, that'll have us against it's the Kentucky Wildcats and the USC Trojans, and
Trojan.
it's
Yeah.
the Trojans.
Trojan.
Trojans.
It's gonna come in there with a fake horse, and then boom, it's out the rear, and you don't know what happened. You're just dead.
They popping out.
Exactly.
So that'll take us to the Marquette Golden Eagles and the Furman Paladins.
Well, okay, now what is a
What the
paladin?
hell's a Paladin?
So the thing about a paladin, if I'm not mistaken, it's
a
like
knight.
kind of like a mythological knight.
Mm.
Yeah.
So like anybody on Charlemagne's court in like the Holy Roman Empire.
That's all day then. I mean,
Yeah, I'm taking
Paladin.
then for sure.
No
me a
moral
Falcons.
quandary there to kill an eagle. They don't care about
Oh
that.
my
No.
goodness! Well, we just ran into and maybe another favorite on the next one, the Miami Hurricanes versus the
Hurricanes,
Rutgers
man.
Scarlet Knights. Give me a freaking hurricane!
Yeah.
Give me a hurricane all day.
Give me the U.
All day.
Come on.
Hurricanes
the-
got that easy. It's not even a
Holy
competition.
crap. We might actually run into hurricanes versus cyclones, but that's for a later.
That
street.
could be an interesting one. That could
It's
be an
very
interesting one.
possible that we are going to
You're all
see
getting
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Gonna need Dave Dirks in here to talk about it with us.
So that'll bring us to our last section. First round, Houston Cougars, Northern Kentucky
Give me the
Vikings.
Vikings.
It's the Vikings.
Give me the
I got
Yeah,
the Vikings.
I agree.
We can run down those Cougars all day.
It's all
the
day.
Vikings.
Vikings, all they know is hardship throughout their entire lives. All they
Mm-hmm.
know is destroy, pillage, and steal stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
done. It's
Yeah.
done.
So that'll bring us to the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Illinois Fighting Illini. And aren't the Illini like
Native Americans.
they're Native Americans?
Mm.
So
Yeah,
they're
they
gonna
kill some
freaking
pigs.
kill some Razorbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
kind of like their whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm also kind of bringing the fact of like, you ever watch Game of Thrones? Those things
Yeah.
can slice you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean a Razorback is a pretty gnarly like animal.
No,
I
for
feel
sure.
like, but
For sure.
I can't disrespect a Native American. I just
Yeah, it's in line.
The hunting ability there, it just takes over. So
I agree.
yeah,
And it sets up a very intriguing matchup in the
mhm.
stick around
between the Vikings and the
and
we'll
the-
get there. We'll get
Yes.
I agree.
So next we have just some person from Indiana
there.
against the Bulldog.
Give me
And
the
not only are these Bulldogs, like dogs are good friends, they're also from Yale, so they're smarter.
Yeah, give me the Bulldogs.
So give me a smart Bulldog from Yale.
I
over
don't
a person-
know. I think depending on the size of the bulldog, I mean, a man can kick a dog pretty good in my personal opinion. I
He's a
mean,
guy from Indiana.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a guy
he's-
from Indiana. You gotta remember
Yeah,
that.
you're
I
forgetting
can't
the Indiana part.
I can't say the word that I want to say, but I think we all know what he
Yup.
would be since he's from Indiana. So yeah, give me the bulldog.
So okay, just go ahead and move them on. We've got a. So now we have the TCU Horned Frogs against another set of Bulldogs, the Drake Bulldogs.
Yeah, Bulldogs. Give
What
me
is
the
what is a
Bulldogs.
horned frog?
Horned
Is it
frog
just like a?
is-
A horned frog is basic. It's not even a
It's like-
frog. It's a lizard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a Bulldog in that situation.
I feel like the
sure.
bulldog would just eat it depending on size.
We got a dog fight next round.
Literally, that's Michael Vick's dream.
Oh,
right
hey,
there.
whoa! Vic did his time, okay?
He did his time.
Vic
I
did
agree.
his
He did
time.
for the Eagles. I agree.
Do not throw Vic under the bus like that. Vic did his time.
So now we have a third straight matchup with the Bulldog, but they're running into a Bruin, which is a bear.
Yeah, give me the Bruins.
So-
I got the
Yeah.
Bruins.
Bear all day on that.
So this sets up a very interesting matchup in this other game: the Missouri Tigers and the Penn State Nittany Lions. I don't even know what to say.
I
This
don't
is
know a
tough.
lot about Nittany Lions, to be honest.
I don't either.
It's a cougar.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Okay.
I mean, I think at the end of the
A
day,
lion?
I think
probably
I think a lion's just way more territorial.
Yeah,
Like
it is.
it's gonna
bigger.
protect its stuff as
I'm
as
going
best
with
as it
Nittany Lion
can.
there.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
mean,
going
they do
with
call it the king of the jungle, so I got the
Mhm.
lion.
This isn't
And
a
also-
jungle
also,
lion. This
I'm
isn't a
just
jungle
bored.
lion. This is like a Northern American cougar. Like it's like a
that's
it's a
fine.
mountain lion.
That's
still
fine.
don't-
I'm bored. I'm bored with tigers. Move on to the next.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So now we have the Gonzaga Bulldogs versus the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos.
What is a
And,
gaucho?
I'm
It's
pretty
gotta
sure
be
it's kind of
something
like,
a Mexican warrior.
or like a cowboy or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a Mexican.
it's a cowboy of South American.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's,
move him on.
the
Easy.
gaucho.
yeah, give me the
Give
Gauchos.
me the Gauchos, yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, Gauchos all day. So now we have the Creighton Blue Jays, and it says NC State Wolves. It's actually the Wolf Pack.
Which is
So
more
that's
than one
more
wolf.
than
It's
one.
war.
Hey, that is scary.
NC State
Worse.
moves on.
That's scary as hell.
Move
Let's just
NC
call it what it
State,
is.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of wolves. And if you are familiar with Tyler the Creator's music, you know that a wolf gang can go a pretty long way.
I would have to agree.
Yeah.
I would have to agree.
I know you would. So now we have another set of tigers, and at this point in time, I'm. Oh wait, is that the bottom?
That's the bottom of it.
I'm looking. I'm looking at the bottom. That's my mistake.
We're
up
still
at
we're still
No,
two
we-
tigers.
We're okay.
Grambling. Yeah, we're up at Grambling, Tigers v Tigers.
We have Tigers v Tigers, Grambling and Auburn, and
I think we gotta go Auburn.
Yeah, I think
that
I think just
I'd
move the
go
higher
Grambling.
seed.
No,
I'm going
Grambling's
with Grambling.
grittier.
I'm going
Grambling's
Grambling.
grittier.
Just because like if you go down to it, like we're talking about the same mascots, you have to actually look at the university, the area, whatever. I'm going Grambling because, like you said, they're grittier, they're tougher, they're in the streets like that. It's Auburn, man. They're soft.
Yeah.
Give me Grambling.
They don't even know if they're War Eagles or if they're Tigers.
Yeah.
What do you want to fight? A tiger with his chip on his shoulder or a preppy little tiger? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So move Grambling on. That's what I'm talking about.
A tiger with Sperry's or a tiger with chips on his shoulder?
No,
Okay.
as we predicted, if I'm not mistaken, I'm fairly certain Xavier is a Catholic university.
I believe it is.
So I think the power of Christ compels you, and the Blue Devils come to an end here.
I would have to agree. I think, at the end of the day, the Musketeer, whether he holds the beliefs or not, I think, any man faced with the devil can pray hard enough and, get it to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough,
So
fair enough. Also has a
down go
gun.
the Blue Devils.
He also has a gun,
He
as
also
if that's
has
going
a
to
gun.
help.
He also has a gun.
It's the devil. I would have sworn.
He
Oh.
still has a gun.
I would have sworn Austin was from the South with that answer, honestly.
They're not that different than us up there. So that brings us against Jared's heart and soul, the
Dude.
Colgate Raiders against the Boise State Broncos.
A Raider
Yeah, I'm
would
sorry.
decimate a Bronco.
I think the Raiders move on.
Raiders
Yeah, I
going
think
to
the Raiders
decimate a
definitely move on.
Bronco.
I think so too.
I think the Raider doesn't even kill the Bronco; it just domesticates it and
And
uses it
it's-
to ride into
yeah.
battle.
There
He
you
has
go.
it for the next round. Do we put
It's
like
another
Next
clue.
round. The
Yeah,
next
Raiders
round, the Raider
swallow.
has a Bronco, 1,000%.
Okay, that's fine. So that comes to the Tennessee Volunteers and the San Diego State Aztecs. Now I know it's not the exact same thing, but we saw what happened when an Aztec was faced with, a warrior with different kind of technologies. If they don't, if David Crockett doesn't give the Aztecs smallpox, he's just gonna shoot it in the face.
Yeah, I was
So-
thinking more than anything, the Aztec
I
would
mean-
be maybe kind of like trying to conjure a spirit, and while it's happening, Davy Crockett's just going to shoot it and just be done with
Yeah.
it.
So Tennessee moves on.
He has
Yeah,
a
I got
gun.
Tennessee as well.
You can't just keep making that point over and over again,
He
Austin,
still
when they
has
have
a
a gun.
But he does.
The Aztec bought a bow and arrow to a gunfight. I'm sorry. It's over.
Can't
Got him.
have that. So that brings us to Fairleigh Dickinson Knights and the Tigers, and again, it's just sick of the
It's
It's the Knights.
It's the Knights over
Yeah.
the Tigers.
Yeah.
I think the
for
Knights
sure.
for sure. With the
Okay,
armor,
this
it's done.
Yeah, for sure. This next matchup is interesting. You've got the
Strike.
Toledo Rockets versus the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles.
Yeah, it's
Come
the
on.
Rockets.
Yeah, it's
It
the
is-
I'm
Rockets.
going the Rockets. I mean, look, an eagle can sort of maybe damage a rocket in a slight way, but it's not going to knock it down. Rocket
Yeah.
can destroy a ton of eagles. I
What
mean,
if it
that's-
flies into its propeller?
It's possible. Yeah, I mean that's. But what's going to
Propeller is
happen?
a
I feel like
rocket.
that's suicide,
Rocket-
though.
Yeah, but even then,
That's-
if it
the
flies
Eagle-
into the Rocket's like engine, the
eagle's
eagle's
dead.
still dead. Yeah, it doesn't.
I agree.
The Eagle loses either
Listen,
way.
Sully,
I'm
he's
just-
not flying into an airplane engine. He doesn't have to land on the Hudson.
It's not
a
landing
rocket.
in the Hudson.
Yeah.
And even if even if the eagle knocked it over, the rocket probably would still explode and still end off the
At the
eagle.
end of the day, though, that even if the rocket did explode, the eagle would die first.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Listen, I like the Rockets. I'm fine with the Rockets. I'm fine with moving them along. So that brings us to a Bear versus a Spartan, and this is
That's a little interesting, actually.
That's tough, actually.
Honestly.
That's
I'm
a
going
I
take.
gotta say Spartan.
I'm going to Spartan just because like the only way the Bear's going to fight back is if it gets up into Spartan's face, and I think
Yeah.
the Spartan's got enough weaponry to just.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You catch that bear on a bad day. It couldn't find berries in the woods. I think it's gonna put up a good fight. Really,
I
I
put up
think.
a good fight, but
did the Spartan miss with its younglings?
But see, the Spartan also doesn't like. If we're talking bear versus knight, the knight has armor and stuff like that. A Spartan has like a tutu and a shield and a sword. I think the bear catches it one good time across the face with the paw, and the Spartan's done. Like he's not gonna be able to wield his his sword anymore.
I think
just
what we're
think
seeing
more-
here is he's got bias right now. This is anti-Michigan bias, and that's what I'm seeing out of him.
I hate
He
people from
knows-
Michigan.
He knows the sword is gonna bop a bear, and it's just he's over here fighting it because he hates
It's a
Michigan.
Spartan.
While I
definitely a
while I
Spartan.
appreciate the fight here, and he
Yeah.
almost had me won over, but if you've ever seen 300, you know that this is Sparta.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. I let it be known on this podcast I'm not a fan of anyone from Michigan.
So it's true. If you
I'll
wanna
never
to
go
watch-
back there again.
If you want to go watch some old folding chair hockey videos on Jury Plays Games on Twitch,
I hate Michigan.
he's very on record as hating Michigan. But that'll bring us to the Yukon Huskies, and for some reason it still says the Utah State Bulls, even though they're Aggies.
We're keeping it.
Well, I think that's what we were going by was the mascot. So
Yeah,
if we're going with the mascot, which is if it is a bull, give me the Bulls.
But they're not the Bulls.
I
though.
don't
Bulls
know.
are actually an Aggies.
They're an
I
Aggie.
think either way, a husky's gonna be
Either
way
way.
faster. A husky's gonna be way
Well,
faster
that's
than a
true.
bull, and it's a higher seed, so it's in its element. It's ready
it
to
is
take
cold.
that
It's in its
stuff
element.
down.
It's in its element. Hey, that's a very good point.
It's still
You
cold.
changed my mind. Give me a husky. Give me a
Yeah.
husky.
Dogs herd cows. It's just what they
Yep.
do.
That's
It's
1,000.
their job.
Yep.
He's
He's
gonna
putting
put
it
it off
in
the cliff. Move the
I'm
Huskies
the
on.
Huskies.
Huskies on.
I'm glad that we all came to an agreement there. That
I think this is the most ridiculous sports show ever. Just doing this.
This is exactly the point. So now we have the Crimson Tide and the Mountain.
It's the Tide. Roll Tide.
Yeah, it's got to be the Tide. I mean, West Virginia's got heart. They've got back mountains, but I don't see a way
Flood in
that.
the mountain though.
Well, that's true. It can't flood in the mountain. They could just get the high ground
True.
and be done with it.
Listen.
That's
we
a good
don't
point,
have-
Andrew.
We don't. That's a very good point. We don't have in the South with the mountains and things like that. We don't have hurricanes. This isn't a tornado. If it was a crimson tornado, then maybe they're in trouble. We don't have to worry about the tides here in West Virginia, in that area. So,
But Alabama's the
But
home,
Alabama-
Alabama's the home
that's
team.
what I was
They've
about to
got
say.
they've got.
They've got the
but
home
Alabama
advantage.
is the home team.
Yeah.
So
So-
with them being at home,
So
give
we
me-
gotta put a mountain in Alabama.
We got to drag a mountain from West Virginia to Alabama.
because of home field advantage. Give me Alabama.
You gotta have. I think
Yeah.
it's a close matchup there, but it's got to be Bama.
Yeah, I think if
Scott Mountaineers.
I think if Mountaineers had the home field advantage, it would be a lot different of a story, me personally. But I think with Alabama having the home field,
Alabama
it's
roll.
it's
Yeah.
I just want to also point out we used biblical references earlier. The flood covered the tallest mountain. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna point that out.
Fair enough.
Water beats mountain.
Fair
yeah.
enough. There's a lot of natural disasters in this upper right
Yeah.
bracket. We're gonna move on to Virginia Cavaliers versus Iowa State Cyclones. How in the hell is a Cavalier gonna kill a Cyclone?
It's
I
just
mean,
not-
honest to God, it's not going to.
It's not.
It's gonna
It is-
run as fast as it possibly can,
It's
but
never gonna kill it.
no, I agree.
Cyclones move on.
Yeah.
Then you have the USC Trojans against the Longhorns. The Trojans are
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, I'm still
Trojan
going
all day.
the Trojans are like trained
Yeah.
in warfare, and
Yeah.
the Longhorns are just big old bulls.
Yeah,
I
I'm going
agree.
Trojans. Hurricanes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you
I
have Hurricanes
don't
and
care who
Paladins.
they're playing.
Listen, I don't care if they were in Charlemagne's court. You probably didn't know what to do with the Hurricanes, so
Yeah.
move the Hurricanes.
It's literally a hurricane.
The U
Hurricanes,
moves on.
Hurricanes for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So that will bring us to the matchup that I've been waiting for. You've got historical.
Yep. This will be fun.
You've got the Vikings. And you've got the Illini.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a knowledge of history, you know that these two groups actually coexisted with one another for a period of time. The Vikings were actually the first Europeans to be in North America. They just didn't feel like bragging about it. They got along with them, and they had a somewhat decent relationship with them. So at the end of the day, I think that they're fairly evenly matched, but the Vikings have better armor, and they are also the ones who came and moved and brought the fight to the Illini's home, whereas the Illini never went over to Scandinavia.
It's an 8 seed. The Illini's the 8.
The
They
Illini
have the
is
home
home,
advantage.
home
This is
side.
in-
So that'll
I
happen.
understand
we are
that.
in
If that happened,
Boy.
That proves my point exactly.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. If it happened in
Proves
history,
my point
if
exactly.
that happened in history, and the
History.
Vikings went to the Illini in general, because I don't know that much about history, but if that happened in history, then the Vikings
They had the
won.
capability to go there, and
Yeah.
the
Let me-
Illini did not.
Let me ask one question though. This one's directed for James since he is the history man. Who in history is a better fighter? The Native Americans or the Vikings? Because again, I feel like all Vikings really did was just kind of like roll around in ships and just destroy stuff. And Native Americans
they
kind of
destroyed
didn't.
stuff.
They didn't really fight all that much. I feel like. I mean, they tried, but
They just kind of fought with each other.
Right.
I
and
want to point out,
Then they tried to fight with Yeah, I mean,
I think that backs his point, though. He said, I think you're going the Vikings.
Oh
You gotta
yeah,
go.
yeah, I'm
I
1,000%.
point out,
100% got the Vikings here.
Yeah,
no
I
doubt.
and how
home field is
many of those
Illinois.
famous fierce Native Americans were from friggin' Illinois?
Yeah.
Think about it though, Illinois, that's so far in. That ship had to go all the way through the water system, the fresh water system. How long does that take to navigate? You have to make sure it's flooding properly that you can get around the Superior up into Lake Michigan to come all the way down Lake Michigan, rough waters, come all the way down, get down to Illinois. You get off the boat, you're tired. You've been on a boat for freaking 9 months. You're no food. You get off, and these guys start just.
You got a vengeance for you though. All that time spent, you see that they have food. They've got corn all growing. I mean, you're there for a vengeance. You're taking everything that they've ever owned is yours as a Viking.
Vikings pillage.
You're outvoted. Go Vikings.
Vikings.
You've been outvoted. Good try though. So now we have a couple more Bulldogs. So you've got the Drake Bulldogs versus the Yale Bulldogs.
Yale smarter.
Yale
Give me the smarter Bulldogs.
Yeah, give me the smarter of the two Bulldogs.
Upper
And not
hand.
the Bulldogs that's going to say, tell me what's really going on. I'm not interested. Give me the Yale Bulldogs. They're well read.
Could be an interesting matchup between the Bruins and the Nittany Lions.
Nittany Lions,
right?
again, though, are undersized.
I'm going to Bruin for sure,
Yeah.
but like, that could be a fun,
Yeah. That worked for him in the last
That's
matchup.
definitely a pay-per-view event right there, though. I don't want to skip over it as if it wouldn't be at least a good battle. I mean,
Yeah.
Bracket, most even fights. Let's just throw that out there.
Yeah.
The bottom 16.
Yep.
I
most
agree.
even.
Oh, yeah.
You've got that, and then on the top
right
you
is
just
gonna
have
be
a bunch
sick.
of natural disasters. But anyway, we have the Bruins moving on, which brings us to the South American Cowboy Gauchos from UC Santa Barbara versus a whole pack of Wolves.
Give me the pack of Wolves.
I just don't know, though. I feel like they had to...
It's like... It depends on how many gauchos you're talking about. You have an entire wolf pack. Like, it's a
But
little
hold on.
But
Hold on,
earlier we were talking one-on-one, yeah.
Because it's Gauchos.
But the conversation that we just had was with the Wolves. You said you have the NC State Wolves, but it's the Wolf Pack. I'm taking the Wolf Pack because it's more than one.
Well, I said even if they didn't, they were going against a Blue Jay.
Well, that's also true.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I think, I don't know. That's a tough one right there. It's a tough one.
I kind of agreeing with Jared here. The Gauchos,
I'm
it's
going
Cowboys.
Gauchos.
Cowboys tame dogs, man. That's what they did.
Yeah.
I'm going Gauchos.
I'm going Gauchos.
Yeah, Gauchos. 1,000% in my opinion.
So 3-2. The Gauchos move on. I think that's a bit of an upset.
It's an
there.
upset right there.
Maybe.
Wait. Whose home field were we playing? I mean, it's the woods or the Southwest. I mean, I don't think I care. I think Gauchos in the woods are fine.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be too bothered by it.
I concur. So that brings us to the Grambling State Tigers versus the Xavier Musketeers. And listen, those Tigers can have a chip on their shoulder all they want, but let's say it together. The Musketeer has a gun.
Has a gun.
Musketeer is going to move
I think
on.
the Musketeer has a gun, and also, as previously stated, he's got God on his side. And as a Lion, you're not going to take that down. It's done.
Tiger, but yeah, you're right.
It's got a tiger. I'm sorry.
So now we see the Colgate Raiders on the back of a Bronco going against David Crockett and the Tennessee Vols.
Look, I see a lot of orange in this chat right now, and I feel like I'm going to be up against some discrimination. But at the end of the day, you got a Raider on a Bronco. He's already got like 3 other confirmed kills throughout this bracket. Davy Crockett, what did he do? Wear a raccoon on his head? Who cares? He's dead.
No, the Crockett's a shooter, bro. I don't care if the Raiders on a helicopter. Crockett's a shooter.
Nah.
Crockett is a shooter, bro.
What did Crockett...
He's got a gun.
Hold on. Let me make my statement here.
What did Crockett even do?
They're
Nothing.
riding in. David Crockett is a militiaman. He's going to snipe the Raider off the Bronco, okay? He's taking care of him. I don't know if you've heard the Ballad of Davy Crockett, but I was told that he killed a bear at the age of 3. I don't think that he's worried about a freaking Bronco.
Let me make one last thing for the Colgate, okay, though? And here's the thing. If we're taking Davy Crockett, he's got a musket, okay? Anybody in here ever fired a musket before? Okay.
all we
Is
know.
anybody in here Davy Crockett? No.
Me.
We're talking Crockett,
What?
bro.
No, come on.
He's a shooter.
He's running around on this Bronco. He can't hit anything, bro. The Raiders
yes,
going
he can.
fast on this
Yes, he
Bronco.
Some mythology love here. Like, you guys you're way too into the fact of a song about a guy who didn't even really exist.
I think deal
he
breaker
did,
right
he
here. Deal breaker right
David
here.
Crockett was a real person.
All he did was shoot some cowboys in the Alamo, and then everybody's gonna be like, "Yep, Davy Crockett, that's our guy."
He
No,
was a senator as well, and he was also.
I could have been a senator back then.
Just tell me that you all don't know history without telling me you don't know history. Don't act like you don't. Oh, he didn't even exist. He was real. Okay?
I didn't say he didn't exist. All I said was he shot people in the Alamo, and that's all I know about
He
Davy
did.
Crockett.
And in some reports, he was found killed by a group of Mexican soldiers, but he was literally surrounded by a bunch of Mexican carcasses with his freaking hatchet buried in one.
I think at the
So
end
I'm
of the
pretty sure-
day, Jordan has to be this deal breaker because he hasn't said a word on this argument.
I don't know that much about Davy Crockett, to be honest, but
I like where it's going.
Me neither.
I mean, I don't know that much about Davy Crockett, to be honest. I understand, like, the fact that, like Andrew said, he's a shooter, he's a warrior. I mean, like, all the stories about him and everything. I'm going Davy Crockett, bro. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I hate Tennessee more than anything, but, like, honestly, here's the reason I'm going Davy
Crockett's
Crockett.
a shooter.
Here's the reason. One of the greatest warriors of all time. All right, we've had Raiders knocked out in this bracket before. The only reason that we're talking about the Raiders at this point is because it's Colgate.
He's
They have
on a-
really clean teeth.
He's on a Bronco. He hasn't faced anything that could have taken him down at this
hold
point.
on,
That's
hold
not
on,
the
hold on.
only
Not even
reason
technically
we're
on a
talking about
Bronco.
him.
He's not even.
I understand. You made it come down to me, and I hated doing it because I hate Tennessee, and I hate everything about the state of Tennessee, but except for you. But they have a lot of tough matchups coming up, and Davy Crockett's not going to make them through it. But when it comes to Davy Crockett v. a Raider, give me Davy Crockett all day.
and
Musket
the
jams, he
Colgate
can't shoot
legend,
it.
He's a shooter.
He is a shooter.
You can't say,
He's
you
got a gun.
cannot say Davy Crockett is a shooter. That is
He is a
crazy
shooter.
to me.
There's no need to cry about it anymore.
That's
Tennessee
crazy.
Soup Kitchen, hilarious. Too bad the Wisconsin, serial killers on
Dang.
here.
Oh, man. That's fair.
Hey, no pop shots. Come on.
Tough affair.
Anyway, love you, mean it. So now we have the FDU Knights versus the Rockets, and the Rockets gonna win again.
Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets are
100% Rockets. It's not
Bro,
even
like,
close.
how are you ever going
Who's
to pick
gonna
against
beat
the
a Rocket?
The Hurricanes.
Say
Maybe.
How the hell are you ever going to beat the
I
Hurricanes?
agree. Spartans, Huskies. I love dogs.
Yeah,
and-
give me the Spartans.
Spartans.
Yeah,
For
Spartans,
sure,
for
yeah.
sure.
For sure.
At the end of the day, one of them is.
And honestly, Spartans v Rockets next round could be interesting.
could be fun.
Could be interesting.
It's not.
It's
There's
not.
an easy winner there.
Yeah, I agree. But we've got the Crimson Tide versus the Cyclones, and I'm just going Cyclones.
It's Cyclones.
Yeah, for
It's-
sure.
it's water evaporates, becomes more Cyclone. It
Yeah.
just made the Cyclone bigger. Maybe
Yeah.
even
It just
3
makes them
times.
stronger.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Move it on, but
Yeah.
put Cyclone but stronger in the next.
Times 3.
Yeah, ×3 is probably pretty fair for it.
Well, I guess it's too bad that they're going to be taking on an actual hurricane.
Yeah,
which
because
is just gonna
the
get
Hurricanes,
stronger.
Which is
are gonna
both.
knock out the Trojans
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
The Hurricanes have been just rolling through this bracket with
Yeah.
no problem.
It's not even been a competition.
This is ridiculous.
All you have to say is hurricane, and it's been pretty much done.
Hurricane. I mean,
Yep. So that brings us to the North Kentucky Vikings versus the Yale
the
Bulldogs.
Vikings all day.
Vikings.
Yeah,
Vikings.
I mean, I think
Bulldogs,
you
bro.
can have a smart bulldog all day, but the Vikings still just gonna take it down.
the
All
Vikings, yeah.
all it
Yeah.
knows is hardship and war.
Yeah.
That's all it
Yeah.
knows.
So now we
Vikings-
have to ask ourselves. Go ahead.
I said the Vikings will choke this away, though. It's the Vikings. They're not going to
Yeah.
make it in.
They're
not
not
from
from
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah, that's different.
But
They were close
Now-
enough. They were in Illinois.
It's fair enough.
now you have to argue whether or not a South American cowboy could take on a bear, But again,
Bruh,
I'm going to
I got the bear.
Gaucho's got the gun.
I'm going to Gaucho.
Yeah, but a bear can take shots. A bear can take shots and keep running.
A bear can take
Well,
shots depending on the size of the
Bruh.
caliber. You know, Andrew does have a point there. A bear
I
can
got
take
bears.
shots.
You're trying to tell me I'm freaking South American Cowboys not going to be prepared for?
Yeah, it's gonna take a shot. Then it's gonna take another shot. Then it's gonna take another shot. Then it's
Are
gonna
there even bears? Do they even have bears? Have they even seen a bear?
Are there bears in South America?
Has this bear ever seen a Groucho?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
No.
just another person to the bear. Bear don't give
They
a.
think until they get shot. in the eyes.
It's not just another person. It's not some random person walking down the street. It's someone shooting at the bear.
Yes.
I'm saying the bear don't care. Bear.
It can take out a freaking wolf pack. It can take out a bear.
And listen, at the end of the day, we have a South American Cowboy versus a Viking in the next round if we do this, which can be very fun. So I just think the Gaucho's beating the bear.
I'm still taking the bear.
I think it's
That's fine. You're wrong, but
I don't know who I'm going with. They have a point. Bears are terrifying,
Yeah,
and
bears?
if this is like a grizzly bear,
They die too.
Dude, you
They
can,
do.
but you can shoot a bear with
Yeah,
like
but
a
you
500 and it'll still like keep pursuing you. Like it does not
no
care.
bears.
yeah, but what if you shoot a
Bears.
Yeah, but hold on, wait a minute.
You're just shooting it once.
All right, that's-
Hold on. This bear isn't just a grizzly bear, it's a California bear. So they're both from California. Because you got the UC Santa Barbara Gaucho. So they're fighting on, it might technically be home soil for the Bruin. But
It's
They're-
California.
it's California.
It's a
You're pulling
gaucho
straws
territory.
here. It doesn't matter. It's the
Yeah,
bears.
I think the bear
Oh,
moves
boy.
on for
Bear.
me.
It's a bear. We're talking
It's fine.
old caliber guns. These aren't new. Like he's not using anything modern.
Bears
Yeah.
getting killed by a Viking in the next round. Whatever. Move the stupid bear on. Move the stupid bear on.
I mean, I guess a bear is just invincible to a gun. It's fine though.
Yeah, that's fine. So I guess.
Have you ever
that-
played
What you all were saying?
play Red Dead
no,
Redemption?
no,
Go
no.
shoot a bear a couple of times. I promise you, it's gonna keep running at you.
That's fine. I didn't say a couple times. You just keep damn shooting.
Yeah.
You've only got.
Yeah, but he's going.
You're in a cage match. You've only got so much space between you and this bear.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, man.
Okay.
That's what
Now
I'm saying.
we've got a musketeer, and we've got a volunteer.
The
And
tea and
historically
soup
speaking-
kitchen.
That's why I call them the serial killers. So at the end of the day, you see the volunteers, they have more newer technology. Musketeers are old. I mean, those are like medieval.
And go against God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
what I'm
Three
saying.
Musketeers.
Musketeers, I'm
Dude, the
all
Three
for that.
Musketeers
Hold
are
on, Wait a
goofy.
minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. That depends if you are pre or post Renaissance. Because at this point in time, when the Musketeers are at their peak, are you going against God? Maybe. Because the church is also doing things like making people pay their way into heaven.
You
and
know what
sketchy
Tennessee
stuff
was
like
doing
that.
at a time like this?
Stop.
Yeah, there's a whole thing that we
Stop.
fought a war over.
Stop.
and that are-
Stop.
Northeast Tennessee was in
Stop.
the Union. Northeast Tennessee was in the Union.
Davy Crockett
Don't
was
tell me
not.
that.
Davy Crockett. No,
Davy
yeah,
Crockett
you
was
can't argue that.
pro-Native American and
Can't
was
argue one without the other. No.
Davy Crockett is from an area in Tennessee that was pro-Union.
I will not argue with the history teacher on this because I'm not going to act like I know. I cheated my way through history. So,
Understood. Same.
Off of
Literal
me.
same.
Off of me. So
I
at that time during these Musketeers, I'm just saying the church is in, the Great Schism is happening. You see all this division in the Christian church. You've got got Henry VIII breaking off. You've got the Lutheran Reformation, all that crap. But then you've got more technology. That's a better technology, and if it's close, you go with who has the newer technology. That
We
was
have a
the
guy
argument
here
that was made
who
for the
conquered
Bruin.
the devil.
That was
He
the
conquered the
argument for the
devil,
Bruin.
and we're going to say that some guy in a
But-
raccoon hat is going to
but-
come out of your shoe.
I'm
Look,
going
look,
to
look.
Soup Kitchen.
Look, here's the thing, Austin. He may have conquered the devil, but Davy Crockett is a real man at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So he can't just pray away Davy Crockett. Like, if that was how it worked, then, like, everyone on Earth would be gone because every Christian would pray off people they don't like. And if we're going to go with he's a shooter, okay, then the Musketeer is going to come in there with, like, an older gun or, like, a sword and immediately get dome pieced up by my boy Davy Crockett. I mean...
I just think we're giving there's too much home pride here that is.
I agree. I agree with that
their
statement.
own
I
team.
think there's a lot of
All right,
favoritism going on here.
There's also
Oh,
you
no,
have
no.
a show on the Three Musketeers, and there's just a bunch of
I didn't remember
goofballs.
Davy
Don't know
Crockett
what.
winning
Let me,
the Alamo.
hold on.
Shooter.
Hold on. This isn't because it's Tennessee. It's
God.
because I'm going strictly 100% history based here. Because in the next round, we're moving. If we move
No.
Davy Crockett on,
He's
and he's going to face your
Hold
Rocket.
on, we're not
probably.
talking about next round. I'm saying there's a lot of favoritism. I agree with you, Austin. There's a lot of favoritism, but give me Davy Crockett.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not coming from a place of favoritism because I don't really like Tennessee and I don't watch sports. So
I'm just talking about him and Andrew. I'm just saying, like, I hear the favoritism, but I understand the points because there's points behind it, and it's,
It
that's
has
why.
it has points, and I'm already moving on him. It's
Right,
just
yeah.
the fact of you guys are riding Davy Crockett a little
Also-
hard. Man didn't even
also-
win the Alamo.
Also, I agree with you in the fact that it's not as like, oh my god, it's so easy. It's
didn't
not
say
like
that.
that.
I didn't say that.
But you were arguing like it was.
I don't even think we're riding him that hard though. I mean, if you look at the bracket, he's fought what Birds, Aztecs, a Raider. It's really not been.
hey,
There's nothing
time
really
out. I'm
tight
on
yet.
your side, but do not discredit the Raider. Come on, don't be like that.
It comes down to a tiebreaker.
Don't be
That
like
one
that.
comes down to a
Don't be like
tiebreaker.
that. Don't be like that.
That's what he's saying. He's saying he's gotten these good victories and he's got this resume.
Davy Crockett over Steph Curry is crazy.
Davy Crockett's the greatest shooter of all time. All right, so Davy Crockett moves on to our first spot in the Final Four, which the next in Elite Eight matchup, you've got the Toledo Rockets and the Michigan State Spartans.
It's a rocket.
How's a Spartan gonna? Spartan
No.
doesn't even know what to do with a rocket.
No, it's a rocket. It's the
rocket.
technology of the like.
It's a
What it's
rocket.
gonna see a rocket and say, "What the hell?"
yeah,
Rocket.
It's a rocket.
it's a rocket. So now we've got the Iowa State Cyclones ×3 against
It's the hurricane.
an actual hurricane.
Actual
is-
hurricane
Phillips
takes
is
it, not
like-
even
It's
close.
literally gonna take the Cyclones and make it a stronger hurricane.
Yeah, so make sure that the U is stronger than the
times like
Final Four.
9.
The U even stronger.
Easily the Hurricanes.
Then we have our last Elite Eight.
It's the
matchup.
Vikings.
It's the Vikings.
It's the Vikings.
Vikings are killing a stupid.
I know
thing.
you all love
I-
this Californian bear.
No,
It's over now.
in my opinion, humbly, I think a Viking has fought a bear plenty of times throughout history, and
Yeah.
it's won.
You already killed the cougar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The Viking has no problem. All the Viking knows is hardship and war, and that's at the end of the day, it's going to destroy anything you put in front of it, unless it's a natural
Except the
disaster
hurricane
or a rocket.
The Vikings for sure. Now we literally have in the Final Four. We have the best shooter of all time. We have the Vikings. We have a hurricane and a rocket.
So we've got a volunteer or Davy Crockett since we've championed him against a rocket.
No, it's a rocket.
It's
a rocket.
It's
Like
a
that's
rocket.
Yeah, there's no
R.I.P. David Crockett, but
Oh,
it's
yeah, I gotta
definitely
It's
a
never
rocket.
the Alamo. You made it this far. Congratulations.
But it's a
But it's a
rocket.
rocket.
Rocket was his Alamo. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
This is the Alamo for him. So now we have the U ×4 versus the Vikings.
It's a hurricane.
It's a hurricane.
The U.
Well, wait, hold on a second. I
Oh.
get you guys want to move on the U, but I'm just gonna make
Just-
one small point here.
Go ahead.
If a Viking is constantly battling the seas, do you think it's never come across a hurricane before and had to make it through it to get to its next point, like its
but
next
did it
destination?
did it ever actually kill a hurricane? Did it ever actually stop a hurricane? No, it got through it.
Well, I
Right,
mean,
like,
yeah,
And how many
It
hurricanes
survived.
but
How many hurricanes have killed Vikings?
how do you
On the
kill a
inverse-
hurricane though? At the end of the day,
Exactly, that's the problem.
That's the
I was gonna
point.
say,
That's why they're unbeatable.
then we might as well have just not done any of this and said hurricane wins. Hurricane wins. It's done. That's our number one seed.
hold on. Raise your hand if you're gonna vote for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I was just trying to make a
you're
point.
winner.
How are you going to stop a hurricane?
I was
Again,
just
it's a
trying to
great
make a point.
match. No, I understand your point, and I appreciate your point. I think it's a great point because the Vikings have probably gotten through plenty of hurricanes. But the Hurricanes in that moment have killed more Vikings than Vikings have killed Hurricanes.
Yeah, 1000%. I agree.
So at the end of the day, your winner of the 2023 A2J2 mascotology is the U.
We're not even going to talk about a rocket versus a hurricane?
tough, but again, I mean,
It doesn't even
a
matter.
hurricane. I mean, I just don't.
It
I mean,
depends.
we all raised our hands.
It depends on the rocket, though, right? Because you can drop.
rocket
It's not an
launches.
intercontinental ballistics missile. It's a rocket.
Yeah, how are you gonna?
Yeah.
How is a rocket
It's
gonna
not a
end
nuke, bro.
They cancel rocket launches because it's drizzling out.
Yes.
This is a hurricane times 4.
All right. All
I
right.
didn't even realize that the Hurricanes were in this bracket. Then I saw Hurricanes and said, "Well, I know who's winning
Yeah.
here because how the hell do you kill a hurricane?"
It's true.
You can't.
So,
You can't. I didn't know what I made. I made something disastrous.
I'll throw up a U just for
Can we
you,
do it?
gentlemen.
everybody should do it. Andrew, throw it up. There we go. So at the end of the day, the U takes it. Guys, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Jared, thank you so much for
It's
joining
been
us here.
great to have you. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, you have brought some excitement to this podcast. We appreciate it. This is surely not the last time.
Thanks for having
That,
me on. It's more fun than
absolutely.
editing it, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. So, which is his next job. So again, Jared, thank you for editing our videos
Yep.
and making them what they are. If his voice sounds even remotely familiar to you, it's because you've heard it before. If you've watched our videos, it's just way lower at the beginning of our videos.
Yeah, it's also like pitched crazily.
Yeah. So we appreciate you.
Yep.
So as always, please guys, like, subscribe, A2J2 Pod, Instagram, Twitter, A2J2 Podcast, TikTok, and we always appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing more Jared content in the future, and we're appreciative of such a fun episode.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Down goes Crockett. Down goes Crockett.
He-